Hi, my name is Stephen Bainbridge, and I teach business law at the UCLA School of Law. This is the first in a series of videos I made about valuing a business for my class in mergers and acquisitions. If you'd like more information about mergers and acquisitions and the specific topic we're going to talk about today, discounting to present value, it's in my book on mergers and acquisitions, which you can get at Amazon.com. Discounting is the process of converting a value that you're going to receive in some future time period. For example, next year, 10 years from now, even 100 years from now. Converting that value you're going to receive in the future into what it's worth today, into an equivalent amount of money that you would receive today. That 50 years from now, you're going to get paid $1. And it's an ironclad promise. You're guaranteed that 50 years from now, you'll get that $1. But if you came to me and said, Steve, I'd like you to buy this contract. I'd like you to purchase my entitlement to this $1. Would I pay you $1 for it? No. And that's because I would want to discount that $1 back to its present value. And the concept of discounting back to present value is at the basis of virtually all techniques by which accountants and appraisers value a corporation. The most basic valuation methods, for example, use dividends, current dividends, as a proxy for dividends that'll be paid in the future. You assume that there'll be a perpetual stream of dividends coming from the corporation, and you discount that stream of future dividends down to its present value. And that tells you what somebody would be willing to pay for the corporation today. Well, let's start by talking about the opposite of discounting, which is compounding. Compound interest is familiar to all of us, I'm sure, but the basic idea is if you invest $1 today at an 8% annual interest rate, and that interest compounds annually, how much will you have in the future? What will it be worth in a year? What will it be worth in 3 years? To answer that question, we use what's known as the future value formula. Future value equals the amount you're investing today, which is $1, times a multiple. And the multiple is 1 plus the interest rate you'll be earning, raised to the nth power, where n is the number of years over which it'll compound. So for 1 year, the future value would be $1. And the multiple would be 1 plus 0.08, 8% interest. N would be 1 because there's 1 compounding period. So the multiple would be 1.08. And the future value that you'd receive at the end of the year would be $1.08. Years, because the interest is compounding, you won't simply have $1.08 and $1.08 and $1.08. Rather, you'll be earning interest on interest. In the second year, you'll earn 8% of $1.08, and so on. And so to calculate what the future value will be in 3 years, we use a multiple, again, 1 plus the interest rate, 0.08, raised to the number of years you're going to be investing, which is now 3. So the multiple is 1.08 cubed, or 1.26. So we multiply the amount you invested, $1, times 1.26, and the future value will be $1.26. Now, obviously, the amount that you're going to receive in the future depends on 3 variables. First, how much did you invest? Secondly, what is the interest rate you're going to receive? And thirdly, how frequently will the interest compound? Interest that compounds monthly will grow your investment faster than if the interest compounds annually. The more frequently interest compounds over a given period, the faster your money will grow because you'll be earning interest on interest. And this is the magic of compounding interest. Now, what's the effect of interest rates? Well, obviously, when we're thinking about investing, the higher the interest rate, the more you'll earn in the future. What's the effect of compounding and how often you compound? Well, again, the more frequently you compound, the faster your investment will appreciate in value because you'll be earning interest on interest over a faster period of time. You'll be earning interest on interest sooner. And so you can see in this chart that compounding annually over time means that you'll make less money than if your investment compounded quarterly, monthly, or continuously. So now, if we think about compounding, it's determining what the future value will be of some amount we're investing today. In contrast, discounting is the reverse process. Discounting tells you what some future amount you're going to receive at some point in the future, what it's worth today. Present value will always exceed future value. There is at least two reasons for that. First, people tend to display impatient behavior. They tend to prefer their immediate well-being to their future well-being. In fancy economic terms, they prefer to maximize their present utility rather than their future utility. This means that people will value benefits received sooner more than they would value the same benefit received later. In addition, money that's received today can be saved or invested. Now, of course, at today's rates, you're not going to get a very high rate of return, but you will earn a positive rate of return. So by putting money in the bank or purchasing stocks or purchasing bonds, you can earn interest on that money today. And so your dollar that you invest today will, as we've seen, be worth more in the future. Therefore, to receive $1 in the future, you need to invest less than $1 today. How much less? Well, the present value formula tells us. If I promise to pay you $1 in 1 year, how much is that promise worth to you today? Well, the present value is equal to the future value divided by the discount factor. And the discount factor is 1 plus the discount rate raised to the nth power, where n is the number of periods until the future value is received. What is the discount rate? Well, we're going to talk about how you calculate discount rates in a future video. Calculate it using what's known as the capital asset pricing model, and we'll talk about that in more detail in my video on using the capital asset pricing model in valuation. For now, let's just assume that we know what the discount rate is, and let's assume that it's 11%. So suppose that I'm going to pay you $8,000 at the end of 3 years, and the discount rate is 11%. How would we calculate that? Well, Here in this version of the formula, C1 is your cash flow at period 1. R is your discount rate, and N is the number of periods over which we're going to be discounting. Here, 3 years. So our numerator would be 8,000. Our denominator would be 1 plus the discount rate raised to the power of the number of years we'll be discounting, which will be 3. 1.11 cubed is 1.36. So that's our denominator. And so the answer is, if I'm going to pay you $8,000 in 3 years, and we use a discount rate of 11%, the present value of that money is $5,849. Now, as I say, many valuation techniques rely on present value-based methods. As I mentioned, one of the most common of these is by calculating the present value of your estimated stream of future dividends. And we'll talk about how you do that in the upcoming videos. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you found it useful. If you did, please like and subscribe. Thank you.